Alright guys, you're watching Gaming in Progress Tech Talk. I'm joined by Aries, and this is going to be a regular series on our channel. We're not sure if we're going to do it every week or every 2 weeks, but we're going to bring you the latest news in the tech industry that is relevant to you PC gamers and non-PC gamers out there who play consoles or whatnot. Anyways, so we're going to be talking from everything about Intel's release and announcement of the 6th generation Skylake processors
to the Fallout 4 leak on Pornhub.
Yeah, and
I found that.
Yeah, we're going to be starting with Nvidia releasing its...
Did I say it creepy enough?
You said it creepy enough. Anyways, we're going to be starting with Nvidia's release of the GTX 950 that will be replacing their aging 750 Ti graphics card.
Windows 10.
Yeah. So this is basically to be a low power consumption, price competitive card for people who are trying to build PC builds on a budget.
The price is in euros and I can't read it.
Prices, they said rough, I don't know.
To Google!
To Google! But yeah, it's a European company that released this. Normally graphics card prices are a little bit cheaper in the United States than they are in Europe.
$313.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot cheaper because $313, that's almost the price of a 970. So yeah, it's going to be a lot cheaper. So yeah, they're releasing the 950 to replace the aging 750 Ti. It's basically going to be a low power consumption graphics card that's supposed to be cheap for all you budget-minded PC builders. Now the thing is it really worth upgrading from a 750 Ti? Personally, if you're running a 750 Ti currently, yeah, I would say it might be worth upgrading for the little bit of a graphics boost it's going to give you. But if you're absolutely on a budget and you're trying to build a new PC, unless you're interested in DirectX 12, I would say stick with the 750 Ti, because right now you can find those anywhere between $90 to $150. This card looks like, given the price of the 960 Ti, which is Nvidia's other budget card, I would say this is going to fall anywhere between probably $140 to $160. So it's like if you're honestly worried about your budget, I would say go with the 750 Ti. It's not going to be much different from this card, other than not being quite as powerful. And another reason why I say that is, if you're building a new PC and you're like, okay, I'll put a 950 in it. Well, like I said, is it really going to be worth putting that 950 in it when a 960 is going to be, maybe $25, $30 more? What do you think about that? It's like, do you think the increase in performance will really be worth the upgrade, or do you think if you're going to build a card using a build a computer using a current generation card, do you think you should just skip the 950 and go straight to the 960?
Buy a Titan. If you're really on a budget, just go with really whatever you feel. I mean, you really got to research more into a computer about what you can't just go off of, this is what they say. You got to, if you're going to go into a computer for gaming, you've got to do your own research into these cards. Is this worth the money that it's at right now? Probably not, but it's going to go down pretty soon, and then it probably will. If you're really going to spend, what was it, $300 on this, you might as well.
Well, like I said, I'm assuming those prices are just placeholders right now, because there's no reason why it's going to be more expensive than the 960. It's going to be cheaper upon its final release. Yeah, but it's also worse. It's going to be cheaper upon its final release.
Do you want me to start giving you examples of technology that's worse but more expensive?
It just...
We can start with your favorite.
Apple?
Yeah.
Anyways.
You've lost You've lost!
Yeah, I've lost.
Before you even start.
I don't know, but the article we're actually looking at, says those prices are more than likely placeholder prices right now, and that they expect it to fall anywhere between 140 euros to 200 euros. And like I said, graphics cards tend to be a little bit cheaper in the United States.
Yeah, we're in America. How about you bump that up to fucking American prices?
Well, like I said, graphics cards tend to be a little cheaper in the United States, so that would roughly translate to about 140 euros. That would roughly translate to about $200, and that's about the price of the 960. So I could see it being maybe about $150 when it finally releases. You're with this card, you'll be getting 2 gigabytes of DDR5 or GDR.
Up on your computer.
Anyways, with this card, you'll be getting 2 gigabytes of GDR5 RAM and 768 CUDA cores across a 128-bit interface. So, like I said, depending on your budget, it may or may not be worth it just to go to a more expensive 960 or even a 970, as those are starting to fall in price now with the release of the 980 Ti. So, all right, moving on to Intel. Can I
say something before we do this?
Yeah.
I'm having PTSD's flashbacks to the Sonic Dreams collection because of this room. I don't think we can ever record in here again.
We're gonna record in here all the time. You don't have a choice.
We can't. I do have a choice. It's called not fucking coming to your house. I'll do this shit for my own.
All right. So
I'll also ask a question.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is there one poster behind us of the map of Los Santos?
It's the only good poster I have right now. And we don't have a green screen, so I figured that would add decoration.
Yes, a single fucking poster. Just one.
Yeah. Anyways.
One.
So Intel recently announced that they're releasing their 6th generation Skylake processors. We actually have some benchmarks on hand, courtesy of some YouTuber, but I'll link in the description. But anyways, as many of you know, their 5th generation Broadwell processors were just released, I think in January, and Aries here is currently planning on building his next computer based upon the 5th generation processors. So, why do you think this processor generation was this short?
Windows 10.
Well,
very simple. They're building new technology for a new operating system that's going to be very popular, despite the security flaws we'll talk about next. But either way, something new is coming. It's not like it's unheard of in the technology community for a generation of anything to be short.
Yeah.
Tech, as soon as it comes out, is immediately inferior. It gets older day by day, and it's not really that new. But yeah, it's probably just because the Windows 10's finally come out.
Yeah.
So they're going to start releasing processors that are more optimized for Windows 10.
Yeah. Now, like I said, a few of these have been released to people to test them. As you can see with the i7 processor, you're getting 8 megabits of smart cache. I think that's up 6 megabits from the or megabytes from the 4th generation processors. They're based upon the 14 nanometer technology, not the 22 nanometer technology from the 4th generation Haswell processors.
Why the fuck does it have 4 cores? It only has 4 cores. Why the fuck would they do that?
I don't know.
There's 6. Fuck, they're coming out with 8-core ones. Might as well make those.
Yeah, well, these are the ones that are just being released initially. They're going to be releasing more as it goes on. Max clock speed is 4 gigahertz with a turbo frequency of 4.2. So the turbo boost isn't as great as it was in previous generations, but the base clock speed of this processor is going to be about the same as an overclocked processor from the 4th generation. And like how these things actually perform in real life, I mean, as you go on, there's going to be games that are going to take advantage of this these type of processors and programs that are going to be able to take advantage of these type of processors. But I'm looking at the benchmarks right now of GTA 5, which they were using a i7 6700K with a Titan that's overclocked, and i7 6700K.
I'm just drooling over the fact that they have an overclocked Titan, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyways, then they have one with a one that's turbo boosted and overclocked up to 4.6 gigahertz. Then they have the i7 4790K with a Titan, the i7 3770K, and the i7 260K K with a Titan.
Not turning off your computer.
And like I said, it makes a difference of about 20 FPS going from the 4790K to the overclocked 6700K processor. But on average, we're not seeing that much of a difference. Even the older processors are able, like the 3770K is able to handle it quite nicely.
I don't know. When you go from 4 to 6, it's quite a fucking jump. 20
Yeah, Far Cry 4 is another game that is taking advantage of it. But when
why, if they're doing this test, why aren't they testing a 5th gen? They just skip 4 to 6. Why did you do that?
Because 5th gen really wasn't that much of an improvement.
Then they should show proof.
But anyways, you go to Crysis 3, and you see most like the older older processors are lagging behind, but 3rd generation and onwards, they're all displaying about the same FPS. So there really isn't anything to be gained from it. So as games go on and get more advanced, it might be worth to upgrade it, but as of right now, it's really not needed unless you're a hardcore enthusiast and you want to make sure your shit is future-proofed for the next few years. So, yeah. So, if you're currently on a 3rd gen or 4th gen i7, then I'd definitely say look into upgrading your rig if you're if you're already looking into purchasing a new motherboard. The prices are going to be about the same because unless you're buying a processor used, which you should probably never do, you're going to be finding these processors at the price that they've been at for almost a year now. So they're all going to be around the same price range. The only issue there is you're going to be purchasing a newer, more expensive motherboard and newer DDR4 RAM, which the 6th generation will make better use of the DDR4 RAM than the 5th generation, so that's another good thing. So, I guess we'll be moving on to Windows 10 and their security flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's our resident Windows 10 user, so I'll let him speak about that.
Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't come across this being a software engineering student. I looked at all of these settings before I installed it and didn't even realize what they were. I feel really stupid about that because there's fucking keylogging shit on this. There's no two ways about that. It's literally logging what you type and sending it back to Windows. Not only that, but if you keep Cortana turned on, it listens to you. So we now have Windows listening and seeing what we type. That's right, they know you went to Google for fart porn.
Wait, Windows is listening? Doesn't that sound a lot like the release of the Kinect for the Xbox One?
I don't know. The only thing it makes me think of, Cortana, you fucking bitch. Cortana, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
But yeah, literally your only option for disabling some of these settings, and I say some of them because some just flat out can't be disabled.
Oh no, it doesn't say that it can't be. What it says is you're going to have to find telemetry, and it's apparently buried. So I'm going to have to do a search for that. I'll probably give you some sort of instruction to do a video on. Moving on to the key logging, my favorite. If you go into your privacy settings and you go to, which one was it? Microsoft info about how send to Microsoft info about how I write to help us improve typing and writing in the future. I looked directly fucking at this. I literally went through all of my settings because I'm a software engineering student. I'm not just going to install something and say, woo! I don't even do that with Ubuntu. I looked at this and I thought maybe it's looking, I honestly don't know what I thought. How I write, it's not really, doesn't immediately flag keylogging in my mind, but that's what it is. You need to go into your privacy and turn that off. And then there's the third one, which is my favorite, and I haven't been able to do, well, no, that's the third, never mind, fourth is my favorite. Third one is you go to Cortana, you can either turn her off, or you can just turn off listening, which she listens for, hey Cortana. You can also turn off feedback to never, which I suggest you do because that's listening to you. Return of Connect. But wait, there's more! This is the one that's my favorite. After publishing this story, Ars Technica, how the fuck do you say that?
Ars Technica.
What he said, with the help of some of their readership, investigated a little further. Even though the first portion of this guide was mostly to stop Windows 10 from sending personal data back to Microsoft, there are still a few other mechanisms and services that continue to report back unless you dig into the registry and group policy editor. Now what I'm looking at is something called allowed telemetry. I have no idea how to get to it. There's a BitTorrent setting for Windows 10.
Really?
That's what it says. We'll have to read that more. I only got this far. But you got to go and dig into your registry, find telemetry, and then you got to turn off, allow telemetry off, because that's sending out more shit. So basically, Windows has made it so you need to be smarter than a software engineering student to figure out how to keep it from reading your shit.
Yeah. So, like, this is something like the average Windows user isn't really going to bitch about until they know about it. You know, chances are half of you installed Windows 10 without even knowing or caring about it, and you know, for those who don't see the video, they're probably going to go on and not be, their lives not be affected by this at all. But for anyone who likes digging into their computer and doesn't,
Microsoft finds out you have child porn.
yeah, and for those of you who may be doing some questionable activities like traversing the Silk Road or anywhere into deep red.
It's not questionable until you buy something.
Anyways, for those of you who are doing stuff like that, and for those of you who actually care about your software and care about, is like, you know, do I really want like a company knowing what I'm doing on my own personal computer? Yeah, this is something that you're going to want to turn off, and you know, it isn't the first time companies have tried doing sneaky shit like this, and it isn't the first time Microsoft's tried doing it. They tried doing that with the Kinect with Xbox One upon release, then they finally ditched that. But you know, it's something that they've tried multiple times. And, you know, it's something you really need to be aware of. I mean, turning off a lot of these settings, like some of them are fairly easy to turn off, but when you get, when you start having to mess around with the registry, that's when you're going to have to start, you're going to have to know what you're doing before you even go into that. So, moving on, another thing Intel's been doing recently is they just released a report talking about how they're going to spend $300 million over the next 5 years. You know, trying to bring like more women and minority groups into their company. Currently, there's actually like a ton of females who work for Intel right now, but you know, they're more focused on bringing other minority groups in because they're all happen to be, you know, white women. Now, like I said, this is something that, you know, a lot of people have differentiating opinions on. This is something people have a lot of different opinions on. Some think it's a good idea, some think it's bad. Personally, I really don't see why you need to spend $300 million just to diversify your company. You know, if you hire, you know, you hire who is, you know, fit to do the job. You know, you don't take anything else into consideration. You hire who can get the job done the right way. If you're worried about like not meeting a diversity quota that you're selling yourself, or that you're saying that your company needs to meet, there's no reason why you have to spend $300 million doing it. It's just as simple as telling your the people who are in charge of the hiring process like, hey, if like you come across a guy who is, you know, happens to be really well skilled and he's black, you hire him before anyone else. Simple as that. It's not really something I feel like you need to be spending $300 million on, especially with the shitstorm that was their last processor generation. You know, there's other places that money could go to.
Well, my opinion on it's probably the same as yours. Race shouldn't really be a fucking issue.
But even if it is, like, you know, there's no reason to spend. You know, there's no reason why you'd have to spend $300 million just to you know, decide
to be politically correct.
Yeah, to be politically correct. I mean, like I said, you can do that just by telling the people in charge of your hiring processes, like, hey, you hire this person before you hire this person. You know, there's a lot of other places where that money could go to, and you know, I don't think it's a smart business decision on Intel's part. But then again, you know, they have rich CEOs running the company who probably have degrees in economics who are probably smarter than me. So, moving on. Now for the topic we've all been waiting for.
Fallout 4 leaked on Pornhub with the title "Crowd Teased by Big Butt Man in Tights."
Yeah. So over the what was it? Over the weekend? Last weekend?
Something like that.
Yeah. So over last weekend, Gamescom 2015 was going on. Gamescom 2015 was going on in Germany, and
that search title. Fallout 4.
Yeah. So pull up the article.
It's just Kotaku. But yeah, it got leaked to pretty much every video streaming service on the internet, and everything banned them. So the guy who recorded the video, if I can fucking find it, I'm looking for the word Pornhub. Usually that pops
Anyways,
out.
it got
There
banned from all the video streaming services.
Except Pornhub, because
So-
as long as it's not child porn, Pornhub doesn't care.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. It's loading.
Yeah, so there's quite a few things that we've actually learned from the Fallout 4 demo at Gamescom because of this. One
Germans
cool
can
thing.
create very creative names for hidden porn, for things that aren't porn.
That. And, well, one thing that was kind of talked about but was confirmed at Gamescom was that Fallout 4, will not have a level cap whatsoever. Technically, you could play the game for an infinite amount of time and just keep leveling up your character and eventually making him more OP and OP.
Oh!
Oh! This video has been removed at the request of a copyright owner.
Apparently they did get pissed.
Oh.
When the fuck did it get removed?
That's...
Oh, but the tags were big ass POV and HD. Hidden camera shows audience teased by big butt man in tights live. Tags, butt, point of view, roleplay, shooter, shitty camera. Thank Merce's Kelta. I don't fucking know. Let's see if Kotaku updated that. Update. 8/13/12/24 p.m. After a few days, the footage is now finally gone. At last count, I saw over 200,000 people had viewed the Fallout 4 footage on Pornhub. So it was removed about 10 hours ago.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen parts of the video, so have Aries. Anyways, another thing they're doing, grenades are no longer an item you have to equip. You can actually bind them to a key. And you can throw them just as you would in any other first-person shooter. So they're making a conscious effort to move towards the control schemes of like Call of Duty and Metro 2033, those type of games, which, it's nice. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas were great games, but, by today's standards, hell, even by the standards when they came out, for first-person shooters, they were just clunky. Sniping is going to be a feature we're adding into the game. You can actually, equip a scope to a rifle, and that scope will give you the option to hold your breath and steady your aim. So sniping will actually become a viable solution in Fallout rather than just using VATS. And VATS no longer stops time. This could be seen from the demo, but it was confirmed by the developers at Gamescom. VATS immediately slows down time, so you're still going to have you're still going to need to have a quick reaction time if you go into VATS and you're facing a creature like a Deathclaw or some feral ghouls that are charging at you. As well as the feral ghouls being more zombie-like. If you can blow off their limbs and they'll still come at you, their only real good way to kill them is by dealing enough damage to them or taking out their head. That is essentially the only way to take down feral ghouls, but it's going to add some interesting gameplay features as well. You have a group of feral ghouls charging at you, just take a machine gun, just shoot off all their legs and just walk through the crowd of crawling ghouls and just slowly blow their heads off one by one.
I've been trying to distract you with a porn video, but your internet sucks so bad it won't load.
That's okay. Anyways,
And then that opened.
oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah, porn always is. Anyway, I had something to add. I thought it was funny. Thing on the Kratos sphere. Just this.
Yeah, just this article.
Behold
is
the
ridiculous.
Queen of Anonymous, and I will have Olger put the video in as we're watching it, to be honest, and I'm going to read this as it's written because it's funny as hell. To be honest, kittens, this is one of the rare cases where the YouTube transcript makes more sense than the actual words in the interview. Still, we cannot pass up the opportunity to share this rare serving of word salad from the Queen of Anonymous, who was there when in 4chan and knew, she says, everybody except Greg Hausch. She told the interviewer she never heard of him. Greg Hausch. I hope some of you know who that is, or you can Google it. He was pretty fucking big. Anyway.
He was essentially the head of Anonymous back
There
when
never
Anonymous
was the head of Anonymous. He was one of the people that was there.
He was there at the very beginning.
And he was one of the people that was first outed as a member of Anonymous and got really famous for it. You might recall how, and I'll read about it right now. You might recall Hausch is probably the first anon to get actually IRL famous in real life, if some of you don't know what that means, when he was outed as a result of his work with Project Chronology, I can't read shit, the 2008 anonymous operation against Scientology, which turned anonymous and four-time Harsh into household names. Hausch. The premise of the interview was to get some information about actual boots on the ground at protests, which is the name of the forthcoming documentary from Fox News. Not Fox, Fawkes. Like Guy Fawkes. Of which this was to have formed a part instead of a comedy side. The interviewer assures us that she was on a bridge at one time. Beyond that, she says none of her claims could be confirmed. But who cares if they're true? They're hilarious. Don't be put off, humble subjects, by the fact that she dubs you anons rather than anons. Or anons, really, just to say it right. Don't you know she basically created Anonymous as we knew it? She was there, man. Lulsec, Amnesec, the Million Mass March, Op USA, hers. We must believe, my friends. We must trust in the Queen of Anonymous. And we're going to watch this.
Questions, right? I need you to ask as many as you can about me.
You got it. I'll send you this video, download it, just kind of put it up here. See if you can't link the audio, but do the best, I guess. I don't think it's copyrighted or something. Just look at this chick. Does she look like a fucking anonymous member to you?
No.
Wait until she starts talking.
Yeah, the audio's on and this one is on because I'm gonna just run them.
To be honest, I've never hacked a website in my
Wait until
life.
she talks.
Alright, should I start with my introduction?
Yep. Let's go ahead and start.
Wait, wait. There's a drinking game. There's a drinking game.
Oh. It's lemonade, but whatever.
Just this will illustrate a point.
Yeah.
This is the fun part of the tech video. The final part, we play a drinking game.
We still have to talk about Dragon Ball Super and Oakley Dokley.
We'll get to those. Those aren't really tech, but this is. You might want to dump that out. Or just get the in out. I don't care. Anyway, bonus fun drinking game. I was gonna say take a slug, but we're gonna take a sip.
Okay.
All right. Here's the game. This says take a slug of cheap wine. We don't have that because we drink real liquor. Every time she looks in the mirror, plays with her hair, does air quotes, pronounces it anons, says New World Order or ideology, or takes credit for something. My God, I think we're gonna die.
I'm just drinking lemonade.
I know. We're gonna die of sugar poisoning.
That is fine.
Who are you? Tell me who you are.
Alright.
Keep a count like on the side.
Yeah.
Drunkometer.
Sunny
If
Hills,
only we had.
aka Deanna Bullard, aka Op USA.
Wait, nope.
And I'm only here to tell my story about everything.
I count that as taking credit.
It was simply an idea that I had came up with back in the 4chan days.
No, ideology.
I
Takes
never
credit for something.
trusted
Simply an idea I came up with.
what the government was saying, and so whenever the ideology of Anonymous came about with 4chan, I was right there with
This
it.
is fucking
After
great.
me first mentioning me being a leader, well, not even a leader, I used to call myself the queen of Anonymous. Like, we were leaderless, that was the main idea. But it's because we all considered ourselves equal back then when there was like 20 of us. And I was working with some of the best hackers in the world that I still communicate with to this day, that are still fully operating with my operations. I remember people like Steve Grant when they first came along into the organization, or when the Million Mass March idea was first invented. I remember like keeping my eye on John Fairhurst, making sure he wasn't like someone who was against our idea. Like, even back then when I was being doxxed by these newcomers of Anonymous wearing the mask, I was like, to be honest, like, I existed before the mask, before you even put that mask on. So any dox that was ever made about me, I used to my own advantage. I would send it out to people, we would laugh about it. And stuff like that is why we even, like, how the idea of WallSec came about. So...
Can I stop? I'm gonna...
It's 2 minutes into the video and we're almost halfway through our lemonade. So.
Hold on, I want to take a stop. because her docs kept getting put out, she thought it was funny, and that's how Lulsec came about. Because her docs came out. How the hell would that be an origin story for Lulsec? Because her docs came about and they thought it was funny.
Well, Lulsec came about just because they got tired that, got pissed off that Anonymous was actually trying to do good, and they're like, no, we need to be on the internet trolling people and giving people seizures with GIFs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't because this woman got doxxed and she thought it was funny. Anyway, back to the drinking game. What's the count? I lost count.
I lost
I don't know, but it'll be right here for you all to see. I hope you're playing at home.
Any of us, like original members, we just laughed about a lot of that. Molesec was just part of my idea. I wasn't hacking anything. I was literally like just communicating with hackers. But I was communicating with them and checking on my hackers. Exactly. So I was never hacking anything. But there were anons that were hacking the FBI, that were hacking these government organizations based on my ideology of Operation USA. Having documents released by the FBI saying that they wanted to know who OpUSA was, where it was coming from. And they could never get the evidence that they needed because I was never doing anything wrong. To be honest, I've never hacked a website in my life. Not once. There were anons and protesters targeted everywhere within the year of 2012. And I knew that they were watching me before that. And so I felt like I was held responsible for a lot of things that had happened from even back in 2012.
She's responsible, I guess she stayed.
I felt responsible for anything, any protest, anything that was going on back in 2012. When I would see it on the news or when I would see it somewhere.
If we were drinking whiskey, we'd be so shit-faced right now.
My heart, all the lives that we've
Or
lost
wine.
since those days.
Wine, we wouldn't be shit-faced.
I can truly say that I felt responsible for.
We'll get that in a second, but look, this much wine is at least a glass.
You wouldn't be drunk by it from a glass of wine.
As fast as we're probably drinking it.
Oh yeah, we'd probably be like through 4 glasses of
There were
wine by the
days
end of
that
this.
I would find out of an anon death and I would just cry myself.
Fuck, if we were drinking.
She cried herself to
Weeks,
sleep, guys.
weeks,
Oh, and she said
and
anon.
months.
Oh, did you?
Just knowing that my idea could have caused such a thing.
And my idea.
But to still know these warriors or these peace fighters, personally, I knew that they were part of my team. I knew that they were trying to portray the right idea. And if they died doing that, they were happy to die doing that.
Were they?
Just the same way that I would be.
Anonymous people dying.
Physically and medically, I've died 3
They're dying,
times, but
man.
I'm still here.
Such
so
bravery.
I've
Much
experienced
wow.
what they've gone through.
Hold on, it
I
gets
just
better.
happened to come back from it. Why? I don't know.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I have no idea why the universe works in
Let
my
me-
favor.
Let me back that up real quick.
Experience what they've gone through. I would be. Physically and medically, I've died 3 times, but I'm still here.
Physically and medically. I've
What?
died 3.
Experience what they've gone through.
I'm going to quote this. Physically and mentally, or medically, I have died 3 times and come back. That's impressive, man. I didn't know you could do that.
There is this one.
I think it's from OD and whatever the fuck she's on. Holy shit.
I remember this one time I ascended to God.
Oh, yeah. No, you just ascended.
I just ascended. I have one ascension that I can use apparently
We gotta
somewhere.
I hate to say this, but there's some Easter eggs we missed that we might have to go back and look at.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah. Mark actually found one. Yeah.
Really? I
He
haven't
didn't
watched it.
want to go into the hotel, so he went behind it.
Oh god. Is there something worse there?
Not really, but it's kind of weird. Anyway, back to the movie. Future editing Dakota, we're at about 4:59 right now, because you're probably gonna have to
Okay.
go and figure out how I backed it up to.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just happened to come back from it. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why the universe works in
So
my
we could
favor
have this entertaining
so
video.
often. This new world order did not come out when President Bush was talking about it. New world order came into play when George Washington stepped foot on our grounds.
I almost did a spit take when you mentioned George Washington.
Boss,
Flipping off the
my
camera.
tattoo, that's my
Elite
fucking
tattoo.
favorite.
You don't already know. Here's the thing, the premise of this video, this documentary is boots on the ground. Yeah, I'm gonna touch on all the cyber shit, but there's already been, you know,
3.
the history of Anonymous, there's the hacker wars, there's a lot of documentaries out there that cover all of the
3.
hacking side.
And 1. Yeah, there was 3. She played her hair, looked in there, and played her hair again.
Jesus fuck, dude.
So yeah,
Well-
so really the beat of it is going to be about people shutting down bridges, you know what I mean, shutting down the freeway and that kind of stuff. So really, that's what I really want to get.
Boots on the ground. I mean, like the name of this promo was just like perfect. Even when I saw it, I made that jump
Yeah, she,
about me being my boots on the ground. I was targeted by the government so much during
where you know.
my first OpUSA launch, to where
Yeah.
I was sitting in jail on a trespassing charge that should have lasted at a maximum of 10 days. I was there for almost 5 months because the government portrayed me to be mental or psychotic or
Fucking
whatever.
retarded.
I told Anonymous HQ that I was sick of it.
Pause 652. Anonymous HQ.
That's a website, actually.
Oh, fuck. I feel stupid. I thought she was talking about, like, the Anonymous headquarters. I don't even think she knows what Anonymous HQ is, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
I didn't
It's
know
a
it was an actual
website, and it actually is basically what's like the mainstream anonymous leadership. Basically, what they say people generally follow.
I haven't followed Anonymous in a while, but I thought she was talking about, like, the headquarters of, like, there was an actual headquarters of Anonymous.
Fighting a war against Scientology, man. You need a
A safe
headquarters.
haven had just went down in Portugal that I was not gonna stand for that. I was in love with someone in Portugal. His name was
Oh.
Elder Mendez. I was in love with this motherfucker.
Mendez.
Like, he was the love of my life, and he drove every moment,
section.
even up to this day, as to what
You
I
have to stop
believe in.
Raul Mendez.
And I may not be in love with him anymore. However, he was that person who opened up my eyes back then. And there was really no replacing him after that. There was no replacing him.
I haven't
Like,
seen
he
any air
opened up my
quotes.
eyes to so much truth, to so much everything. He had connections with Snowden.
Hold on, let's talk about the bridge. Give me the rundown of how that day
Well,
played
no,
out.
I'm getting there. Since 09,
I'm out.
01,
Pause 756. Jesus Christ. This is not going to be fun for you to edit.
That'll be worth it.
It will be worth it. If only we could actually, like, I would wish we had more prep. We could do an actual drinking game.
Well, I didn't know we planned on doing this.
See, I didn't know there was a drinking game.
Gaming in Progress Tech Talks, everyone. We don't know what we're doing.
That's the entire premise of a software engineer.
I don't know what I'm doing, it just works.
2011.
Is that an air? No.
2011 was the beginning of this war.
You didn't take a drink. I had to flick it.
When they shut down our World Trade Center is when I knew something was going on. And I was a
Our?
child. I was only 14 years old. I knew back then that 9/11, even when I was 13 years old, was a bad idea.
Can I say something?
How did you? Oh, play it. Space button.
Her eyes can melt my steel beams anytime.
I know. I just plus
And I
836.
knew-
That was, by the way. Now 837. She knew 9/11 was a bad idea.
She probably melted those steel beams herself.
Who the fuck thinks it's a good idea? I want to know. Who thinks it's a good idea? Who thought it was a good idea? In the comments below, somebody's gonna say, I did. Resume 837. Resume 837.
Whoever
There we
was
go.
operating behind 9/11 when our trade centers went down. And so whenever I was connected with these people on 4chan,
This shit.
That was.
Is that her
And
ass? Or is that
I
a
was
hand?
talking to
I don't
them
know.
through IRCs. Fuck MySpace, because none of us really trusted MySpace back then.
Fuck
None of us
MySpace.
trusted Facebook back then, especially after
I don't
how
think
MySpace was taken over.
I don't think Facebook was mainstream in
Anyone who had my
2009.
ideology
2008.
never would have trusted Facebook. After experimenting what we did with MySpace.
We're gonna figure out when Facebook was founded.
So, I mean, this shit goes back to 6 and 7 years ago.
Is that?
I think that's
Oh,
her
that's her
ass.
boobs. That's her boobs.
Oh,
Right there.
I'm not even
oh, nice.
Okay, well, if you're not running cameras, I'm gonna go home with him because he's already invited me there.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you're not running cameras and I'm wasting my time right here, I'm
We're
not
all
gonna
wasting
waste my
time. We're
time.
all wasting time.
Okay,
We're all wasting
so,
time.
if you're not wanting to do this with me
I am
right now, I
not.
haven't done anything, I'm just
I'm
trying to
being
be real.
perfectly honest and letting you know that you're not talking about anything that I want you to talk about. You want me to ask you questions, and I'm asking.
But this is my story, it's not your
I'll see you
story.
later. Have a good night. I'll see you guys later.
My story.
Thank you for the.
This is my story.
Thank you for the fetishism that I feel right now.
If you
Because
don't-
I will
Fetishism,
expose
what?
you.
I asked.
Because this is exactly how I feel and exactly.
I want somebody from Anonymous just to hack the shit out of her for no reason. Just fuck with her, because that was funny as hell. Oh my god. I mean, we finished basically what do you think, 16 ounce? Maybe 12?
What?
Of Kool-Aid.
I think these are 16-ounce glasses. So.
So we finished about 16 ounces of Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
which would have been nice if we weren't drinking Kool-Aid. Oh, okay. Like, let's look at this. OMG, this is epic of the fail variety. What a fucking idiot. Not nice to make fun of the mentally handicapped, but fucking stupid, sure. Oh, lordy, this poor thing. Vocal fry. Some grad student somewhere is calculating exactly how much weed you have to smoke to produce that sound. Carry the one.
Carry the one, and you need that much weed to correctly pronounce fetishism.
Couldn't finish watching it. Her voice alone stuck a nerve in my brain, disrupting my central auditory process. Her use of anon made my ears cringe. Queen of Anonymous, my hairy ass. More like the queen of wannabe fame. Artificial intelligence is no match for her natural stupidity. But how do you blame the wine? That's a venti, at least. The glass was full the whole... Oh, was it? The glass was full the whole time. She wasn't drunk. Why the fuck did she have the wine then? I could tell you started the million mask mark, just it wasn't her. It was called here in England Op Vendetta. I don't think it was first called in England, was it? It might have been. I want to know why 4 people thought this would adorn their LinkedIn profile in a positive way. I don't know about that, but okay. Rain Coaster sure seems to comment on all of these. Anon Intel Group reblogged this to hashtag Intel Group. And I have lost faith in humanity again. I had it this morning when I saw a guy saving a puppy. It's gone now.
Alright, so our last bit of somewhat tech thing here, since it involves animation. The shitstorm that was Dragon Ball Super Episode 5. We know here at Gaming in Progress there are a lot of anime fans and a lot of Dragon Ball Z fans. And they just fucking completely dropped the ball with Dragon Ball Super Episode 5. I knew eventually trying to put these episodes out this fast using, animating it at 60 frames a second would eventually backfire on them. And it did. In order to keep up with their schedule, they made the entire fight scene between Goku and Beerus look like shit.
What Akira Toriyama did, you see, was he got his kid, or his grandkid, whichever's younger, gave him a box of crayons and said, go fucking nuts, kid.
And that's how Dragon Ball Super Episode 5 was
There's a
born.
guy working to actually fix it. Like, he's going to redraw it.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's doing quite well. I was on Kotaku.
Like, it isn't... I don't know. Like, that shit normally gets fixed by the time the Blu-ray release or the dub release. So I'm
wait
not...
for a fan to animate it if that's what
Yeah,
Akira Toriyama
I'm not... I'm not all too worried about it. But, it was sloppy work for a series that's otherwise been really, really good thus far. And it was just disappointing.
Well, I say we finish this off with some Oakley Dokley.
Yeah, so Oakley Dokley is this band from Arizona. And
It is the first Nedl band. A band made up of all Neds, consisting of Head Ned, Blood Ned, Red Ned, Thread Neds, and Stead Ned.
You heard that right, guys.
Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. They all dress like him. They all look like him. Especially the head Ned. And they are a metal band. Or as they call themselves, a Neddle band. In their own description, Neddle is not as fast as Bartcore and a little cleaner than Krusty Punk. Head Ned said of the band's sound, not as heavy as Homer J. Ent. Neddle is a happy medium in The Simpsons, in the Simp scene. And now shall play They Warned Me from their new album Oakley Demos by Oakley Doakley.
Anyways,
Enjoy.
guys, thanks for watching this first episode of Tech Talks. We're gonna try to do this at least every week or every 2 weeks, depending on our schedule. And every episode we'll be bringing you guys the newest updates that is going on in the tech world. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode.